In this hour, we are going to talk to Professor Juan Cole about his new book on Muhammad, Prophet of Peace Amid the Clash of Empires. And it's still controversial in our Islamophobic political culture to talk about Islam as a religion of peace, but that's how it was founded. Professor Cole will explain more about that to us. Now, our notion of Islam has been distorted by the kind of hate preaching and hate culture and extreme violence exemplified by the Saudi oil regime that we helped put into power and prop up, and by our media, which, despite the recent horrific murder of a journalist, Mr. Khashoggi, we have largely glorified. Now, long before Khashoggi was murdered, we had significant evidence that Mohammed bin Salman, the prince who is running that country, was brutally violent, was dangerous. We had enormous evidence of the Saudi Arabia's involvement in creating a humanitarian horror show in Yemen, including the missile murder of more than 60 children in a school bus and the murder by starvation and cholera of many more than that, as well as men and women in that country. Yet we didn't seem to care because our national security establishment thinks it's just fine to commit horrific murder on a mass scale and to help a nation like Saudi Arabia do it, as our military has been doing now. We all are horrified at the murder of Mr. Khashoggi, and we hope that that will lead to a change and to some public education and understanding on what Saudi Arabia is doing in Yemen and how it is exporting and distorting the religion of Islam. I hope it also leads to some understanding of how our establishment is perverse in its glorification of people like Mohammed bin Salman. And I'm thinking of Thomas Friedman, who, by the way, I happened to see on the street the other day, but Thomas Friedman of the New York Times, who we did not greet one another, but Thomas Friedman, who wrote basically a tongue bath of a piece about Mohammed bin Salman not too long ago. And rather than doing the right thing and walk that piece back and saying, oh my God, I was wrong, he says instead, let's not forget that whatever we do to rectify the situation with Khashoggi, let's keep allied with that regime of that bin Salman symbolizes, because, and I say, what Friedman says is because that's the only way to promote religious reform. And then he writes, quote, that Islamic religious reform can only come from Saudi Arabia, the home of Islam's holiest cities, Mecca and Medina. Well, first of all, the regime that controls Saudi Arabia, the so-called royal family and so on, does not speak for the Muslim religion, does not speak for the historical and religious and spiritual nature of those cities, does not speak for the world's 1.2 billion Muslims, does not speak for Arab Muslims, who only represent 20% of the world's Muslim populations, do not speak for the religion at all. In fact, they've been involved in really perverting the teachings of that religion and exporting it to many other countries. So I hope that the horrific murder of Khashoggi, it's a shame that our elite class of pundits and politicians is so lacking in moral empathy that it's not until someone gets tortured and killed that they happen to maybe meet at a cocktail party that they care about the savagery of this Saudi regime. But let's be glad that they do care about it at last. Let's hope that they do something about it, but let's hope that they don't go the route of the Thomas Friedmans of this world and say, well, maybe bin Salman went too far, but we really need to preserve this Saudi regime. We don't. We need to rethink our national security ideology altogether, get it out of the hands of people like this and get it into the hands of people who realize that a humane foreign policy is compatible with our religious beliefs and it's compatible with basic ethics as well as our own personal safety.